All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin JC here. I'm here with Onyx from I Love New York, Season 1, I Love Money 2. Onyx, how you doing?
Doing all right. I mean, considering what's going on right now
Yes.
in this country, but I'm doing okay. I'm playing my part, and just hoping that this is all not in vain. That all that's happening right now is for the betterment of us as citizens of this country, and it seems like right now this is. It's gone beyond a protest. I think we're in the midst of a revolution right now. So, hopefully things will change from here on out. But I mean, it's an interesting time.
Very
to be
interesting.
Alive right now.
Yes, very. I know a lot of us can say, I never expected 2020 to be like this.
Oh, tell me about it. I've been saying that we need a do-over.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, like I said, hopefully this is all for a reason. That this year, even though it seems like it's been a waste, I sincerely hope that this is a pivotal moment in our lives. So we'll have to wait and see.
Right. So, what made you want to do reality television, period?
Oh, wow. I'm not saying that. I can't necessarily say I wanted. it just happened, right? So I was, I was here in Washington, D.C. I had moved here from Miami. I was living down there for a while, and while I was there, so let me start from the beginning. So I did theater. So I did theater. I was an actor. I started out in college doing theater.
Right.
I later went into my career, and later down the road ended up doing some commercials, modeling, this and that. So I happened to get. I was contacted by a photographer. I was contacted by one of the producers who saw some pictures that I had taken on a photographer's MySpace page, and saw that I was in their top friends list, and messaged me through MySpace. That's how far back, right? That's how far back we're going right now. So he messaged me through MySpace, and he asked me if I was interested in auditioning for this show. And at the time, I didn't know what the show was. I knew going into it eventually that this was a spinoff of Flavor of Love.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. So the running title at the time was called The Flavorette.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So didn't know who the girl was going to be, but, hey, I was interested in just going to the audition. So I went to the audition, and I had just gotten off of work, and it was late in the evening, and I actually thought I thought the audition was over, because there was no one around. It was at a hotel. I was sitting in the lobby, and I was like, well, there's nobody here. What's going on? I was getting ready to leave, and then finally I was like, let me go ask some people. So I went to the concierge, and I said, hey, I'm here for this audition. Can you tell me, what's going on? Like, where are the people at? Have I missed it?
Right.
And they said, no, just stay right here. We'll wait. So the producers were upstairs in one of the hotel rooms, and eventually, and so the concierge actually gave me this questionnaire to complete. He was like, while you're sitting here, just complete this thick ass questionnaire, all these questions, right? And so I was like, oh man, so I'm filling this thing out, and then later someone came down the elevator and came and got me and took me upstairs, and I was a little nervous because I was like, well, number one, I don't know these people. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm going up to some hotel room. Like, I had no idea what was. So a little nervous, a little anxious. But once I got up there, it was pretty cool. It was a real candid conversation, kind of like how we're having right now. And so based off that questionnaire that I completed, they were asking questions, from there, based on my answers, and so after it was done, I was like, all right, that's cool, that was fun, and honestly didn't think anything of it. I never thought that they were going to call me back because number one, I'd seen the flavor of love,
right,
and I was like, nah, like if they're trying to do anything like that, I'm way too normal. Like that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm way too. I am not exciting enough to bring that kind of energy to to reality TV show. And but no, I mean, it was maybe 4 weeks later, 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a phone call, and maybe even a little longer than that. But I got a phone call, and they were saying, hey, this is so and so from 51 Minds, which is a production company, and they're like, we want you to do the show, and we're getting ready to pitch it to the network this weekend, and if we get a green light, then we'll give you a call back and let you know when we need you to be in LA, and which is where we shot. And so I was like, oh man. So then I started getting real nervous. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, because like I said, I didn't think I would get a call back, but now I was like, okay, now I got to make some decisions. And so a lot of it was just really like, what's going to happen? I have a job. Am I going to be able to take off work? Do I have to quit? All this kind of stuff. So they ended up giving me a call after that weekend on like a Tuesday, and said, hey, we got a green light, and we want you, we still want you to be a part of the show. We got this contract, make sure you get this contract sent back to us as soon as you can, which is literally signing your life away. When you sign that contract, it's all done. And then that's when they said, oh, and by the way, the girl's going to be in New York. And I was like, damn, all right. like I didn't know what to think at that point. I was like, is this really what I want to do?
Was there like a girl that you much rather would have wanted to be?
That's interesting. Well, see, so when my first thought was it's gonna be Hoops.
Why does everybody say that?
Yeah, because she won the show, right? So everyone knew that it was not going to work out between Hoops and Flav. I mean, you knew it wasn't going to work out. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, she's the obvious choice. Like, why would it not be her? In hindsight, once you learn the formula for reality TV, especially the of love genre, is there. Whenever there's a show on, there's a show filming. So all the things that you see when you're watching it on television at home, none of the people who are filming know what you just saw. Does that make sense?
Right. So you're basically saying like,
so we're all caught off guard. We have no idea. So for instance, when we went to go shoot when we went to shoot I Love New York, Flavor of Love 2 was on.
Okay.
So a lot of what happened on Flavor of Love 2, we didn't know. So we didn't. So I think right when we left, I think I knew that New York came back, right? So he brought her back to help him choose his next love, right?
Okay.
But before he kept her on to be a part of the show, we had already left to go film. So we didn't know that he had chosen her and then dumped her again. Like we didn't know that happened because we were on set filming. So then when I get kicked off and then I come home, that's when I realized what had actually happened on Flavor of Love 2. So then I'm like, well, damn. Like we look real stupid now. Like they're like, why? We saw her on Flavor Love too. Like why would y'all now want to, why would y'all want to get with New York after we saw her acting a fool on Flavor Love 2? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that's how it happened. I mean, it was just kind of, one of those things where, and a lot of the people on reality TV show, I think we know now, right? This has gone on for so long,
right,
that most people on reality TV are in some way, shape, or form in the industry. You know what I mean? Like they're either aspiring musicians or actors or models or whatever it may be. Because if you get a casting call, right, you only get a casting notice for the most part if you're signed up for a casting notice. So I mean, some people kind of get pulled out, of the weeds. Just hey, are you interested in this or interested in that? But most people either audition on their own or get a casting notice. And so most of the people on our show, same, no exceptions. Everybody was in some way, trying to break into the industry or was in the industry, right? So, I mean, yeah, it was a good experience. I'm not gonna lie. It was an interesting experience. It was nerve-wracking at times, but I had a good time. I made some good friends, and at the same time, we had a show that was pretty, successful. I mean, still to this day, I think we've had the highest rated premiere of any cable TV show. So
the show was very, very successful, especially y'all season. So
yeah, but it's interesting because I'll tell you a story. Even though you didn't ask the question, but I'm going to tell you a story about one day when we were filming on set.
Oh, go ahead.
And so it was maybe 3 or 4 days in.
Okay.
So the excitement was kind of gone, right? Like, it's not new. It's not that new anymore.
Right.
And, we were just kind of all sitting around. I think we maybe had one elimination, maybe 2 eliminations. And so, the day-to-day starts to set in. You're there all day. Like, you have to kind of entertain yourself. Like, if nothing's going on, if you're not doing a challenge or, or anything like that, or on any of the dates, you're just kind of hanging around. You're just hanging out at the house, chilling, eating, drinking, whatever it may be. And we were out at the basketball courts, and we were just out there sitting and talking. And so we had this dude. His name was G. We called him G. And G has been on several sets of reality shows, and he was like our handler. So anything we needed, G would get it for us. Be like, hey, G, we need some Heineken. All right, I'll get that for you. Or we want this to eat. Can you get us this? Can you get us that? And so, he was just there to kind of, keep us all, on point and in check and stuff. And so, somebody asked him, it's like, hey, man, what do we do? Like, because we were bored at that point. Because unless the producers are telling you you're getting ready to do something, you're just hanging out. So
right, right.
Like, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
He's like, let me explain this to you. He said, at the end of the day, this is your show. He said, New York's name is on the show, but this is your show. So whatever you want to do, you do. Make a good show. If you want to have a cookout, then have a cookout. If you want to throw a party, throw a party. If you want to start a fight, start a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is that you want to do to make this a good show, by all means,
right,
you do what you got to do.
Right.
And so that's when it clicked to everybody. It was like, oh, okay, all right. Because it was still new. Like the reality TV genre was still kind of new with what we were doing. So it wasn't like all the fellas that came in on I Love New York 2, who sat and watched us on the first season. It was like, oh, okay, like this is. So they, in a sense, were able to go into that experience with some idea of what they wanted to do or who they wanted to portray, whether it was a character or whether it was really them.
Right.
But for us, it was all kind of new. I think the only people who really who really knew what they were doing because they were in some way ready for the experience, or I would say maybe even prepped for the experience because they had been around the scene for a while, and that was Real a Chance. Like we knew from jump that hey, something's up with these two. Like they know what's going on around here, you know.
Really?
And it was really obvious once things really start to get rolling that these cats were on a different level.
Okay, so it didn't surprise you that they had ended up getting 2 seasons of their own dating show?
Oh no, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
Because and I ain't man, those two dudes. I mean, say what you will about hey, they were some cool dudes, and
right,
you know, and I got along with them,
right?
No problem. Real, you know, Ahmad, you know, he was more on my level than say Kamal or Chance. But you know, Chance is still my boy to this day. You know, rest in peace, Real Ahmad. But yeah, when we pulled up to the set, right? So we were all at a hotel for maybe a couple of days, like sequestered. Like we had to be in a hotel room by ourselves,
right?
Especially those of us that weren't from LA, you know. So it was like we didn't really know where to go or what to do. Like they put us up in a hotel and said, hey, you gotta stay here. It wasn't like we could just be like, all right, I'm out, you know, I'll be back kind of thing. Like we just, you know, chilled at the hotel, and they didn't want us all sort of meeting each other, you know, or have, you know, congregating around with each other because they wanted the first time on camera of us meeting and having conversation. They wanted that to be organic,
very authentic.
Right? So yeah, and authentic as well. So and at the hotel they were still doing interviews with us. And you know, I think they were still weeding some people out. They may have even sent some people home from the hotel. You know, they kind of sort of added some extra people, and then, you know, as we went along, you know, they're like, okay, we'll cut this one, we'll cut that one, and then so they can keep the final 20. And so the day we went to the set, we all met like in the hotel restaurant. And still, nobody was talking to each other. But it was funny because, like, you're sizing each other up, right? So you're walking in, you're looking at everybody, you're like, okay, what's up with this dude? You know, like you're already, like, the competition has already started, and you don't even know what's going to happen yet. You're just looking at dudes. You're like, okay, you know. So we all get on these vans, and they take us up into the Hollywood Hills to this mansion, right? And so we're all sitting around for a while. The producers are there, you know, and they're just waiting for that very first scene when we're all standing outside of the mansion, and she comes out, you know, and greets us all. Like that was literally the first time like we were really all together, you know. But while we were waiting for that moment, we all pulled up in these vans. Real and Chance, them dudes pulled up in a car to the set. They pulled up by themselves. We were like, who are they? You know, so they get out and you know, they're walking up, and you know, people know who they are. You know, producers know who they are. They're like, well, who are these dudes? Like, we know who they are. They didn't come with us.
What?
And so that's when we knew. It was like, okay, all right, they're here for a reason.
That is crazy though. It kind of makes me, you know, especially being how everything turned out, you know, and how what came about. It kind of makes me look at things so differently. Like I thought that
it really does.
Yeah.
But here's to their defense. It wasn't. I can't say that it was necessarily set up for Real to necessarily be one of the final contestants.
Right.
But what I think happened, and this is just based on my, you know, just my own personal opinion, and then some of the stuff that, you know, that I do know. What I think happened was Ahmad and Kamal had Real and Chance had auditioned for another show at one point in time, like, and that didn't get made, and so the producers like, all right, we like these guys, you know, they're LA dudes, and you know, if we do have another project, these two will probably, you know, because, you know, the fact that they're brothers, you know, they got an interesting story, little backstory, and so yeah, maybe they would be good for, you know, some other projects, and I think that's what happened. So they kind of, you know, dumped them into this project because they knew, number one, they'd be great for television.
Exactly.
And you know, they brought a you know a level of flair to the cast, and you know, and hey, they did their thing, and you know, we're successful doing it. I think that Real is supposed to have another show coming out. At least that's what, you know, I thought was happening. I don't know where that is right now. You know, but I think that that was being talked about. So stay tuned. We might see something.
Right. So, what was your first impression of the house? Because that house was beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. Like I said, we were up in the Hollywood Hills. I want to say like off of like Mulholland Drive area.
Okay.
And it was. I mean, the view was amazing. I mean, granted, you know, it's LA pollution, but beside that, I mean, yeah, it was a beautiful on a clear day. It was beautiful,
right?
But yeah, it was nice. But here's the thing, though, that as big as that house was, we really didn't have a whole lot of access to that house because, you know, we're filming a television show, so they kind of have to keep us all together. So production was literally the whole production and crew were on like one side of the house. Like they took up most of the house. We had, you know, we had like the living room areas, the game room area, like the kitchens, and the, you know, dining room, and of course all out outside, you know, the whole backyard, and then our living areas, you know, our bedrooms. But that was really it. Like, so, you know, and then New York had. So when you go upstairs, she had like her own kind of wing,
right,
of the house, and so yeah, so the rest of us were all just kind of. I mean, it was big enough that we weren't necessarily all up on each other, but you know, because the house was pretty good size, but yeah, we didn't. It was nice. There's just part of lots of the house we didn't get to see.
So when you first got there and y'all were inside, well, actually before y'all went inside, Shamo had actually came outside and introduced y'all. Did y'all? I noticed a lot of them thought they were being punked. Did y'all really think?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I assume everyone knew who was going to walk out that door.
Right.
I think everyone. I know that I knew. I assume everybody else knew.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't know when everyone found out. So, like I said, I found out like literally that week, the week of that I had to be out there.
Right.
So I was still kind of like, all right, like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure if I'm feeling her yet. You know what I mean? Like, or if I'm going to. You know. So I think that first kind of, you know, her coming out, I just don't think anybody knew what to do. And I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. We had to do that take a couple of times.
What?
because the first time she walked out, everyone was just kind of like, all right, you know.
Oh my god!
And so they're like, okay, wait a minute, like we need some energy. Like y'all have to act like everybody's excited to see her. So,
did she feel some type of way about y'all looking at her like that?
No, I don't think so. Because here's the thing, man. Tiffany has done this so many times. By that point, you know, she understands that it's still a production. You know,
okay.
It's quote unquote reality, but it's still a production. You know, so you still have there's a lot of setup, and you know, and you know for these moments. For our challenges, for anything that we do, you still have to wait for production. You still have to get sound, room sound, and all that kind of stuff. Stand there and be quiet for like 20, 30 minutes sometimes, or you're getting room tone, right? They're while they're taking expressions of your face for you know, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So when she was when she, well, hold on, I'm sorry. Were you still talking, honey?
No, go ahead.
Okay. When she said Flav left her, I know you said y'all haven't seen season 2 at that point. So when she came in and she was like, y'all know my heart's been broken. Flav left me not once but twice. That was a surprise that she said that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's the moment. And when I look back, I was like, because at first I was confused. I was like, well, what does that mean? Twice? What do you mean twice? You know, I thought it was something personal.
Okay.
I thought it was something that happened between them
off camera
that we didn't know.
Okay.
Right? Until I get kicked off, and then when I go and I'm watching Flavor of Love 2, I'm like, oh shit, that's what she was talking about.
Okay.
So, like I said, yeah, we were clueless, completely caught off guard.
Okay then. So, I don't know if they showed it, but what room did you end up picking? 'Cause I know they had a barbershop room. They had a room with rims on the wall. Which room did you pick?
I was in. Dang, now you're pulling out some memories right now. I was in the room with. Was Tango in my room? Dang. So I want to say it was Tango, Mr. Boston.
Okay.
Oh dang. Bones, I think, was in there.
Yes. Bones was 12-pack in your room.
12-pack. I don't think he was in my room. I think he was in the other room.
Okay.
I think he was in there with Real and Chance and White Boy.
Okay. I noticed they did a lot of filming in that room with the bunk beds. So that's why I was like, okay, I wonder who was in there. Because they did a lot of filming in that room.
Yeah, that was the room. I was in the room with the bunk beds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
I hadn't thought about that in a while.
Okay. So, first night, I don't even think they showed this, but did you even speak to her the first night? Did y'all have a one-on-one?
So we had a little bit of a conversation. So it was outside. I think we might have had a few words while we were inside. But then, you know, outside, at one point, you know, when her and you know, and her mom, Sister Patterson, were out there just kind of having random conversations with people, and I think it was me and
Rico, okay.
I think it was he and I that sat down and had a conversation with them at that point, which was like not too long after. I think, no, matter of fact, I think it was exactly the moment when he called her my little negrita or something like that. And I remember we had to talk them down because, you know, like Rico's from Florida. You know, he's living in Tampa. You know, and I had just, you know, had been living in Miami, and so and Tango also was from Tampa.
Right.
So we were at that point just kind of like, so we all kind of bonded. You know, all the three of us kind of bonded just from, you know, just some similarities. You know, we shared experiences, kind of thing. But I remember us having to talk her down and Sister Patterson down because they didn't quite. I mean, granted, we knew it was wrong. Like, we knew he definitely should not have said that, just because some people just don't understand that. And so, we had to de-escalate that situation.
Right. I
can't remember how much was actually shown on camera, but not as much, I think, as the moment actually, as much that actually happened. But yeah, that was funny.
Right. I remember when it was said. Like, me being in that situation, I wouldn't have took it in a racial way, because he said negrita, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I guess she took it as, you know, my little nigga, you know what I'm saying?
Right, that's exactly what she said. Yeah, it's exactly how she took it. You know, so that it was definitely a cultural barrier right there.
I know, I felt bad for him. I was like, I hope she don't send him home, because I know he didn't mean.
Oh, man.
But I'm glad he stayed. And I remember, okay, so first elimination, did you think you were staying or were you kind of...
No, I felt pretty confident.
Okay, okay.
And here's the thing, man. Like, if I was, and I'm not gonna lie, like if I think Tiffany's cool. Like,
okay.
And I don't know, we may have had maybe a conversation or so, like since then.
Okay.
But I think Tiffany's cool. Like, even on there, we actually had some pretty deep conversation.
Okay.
There, like, I think she thought I was real. I thought she was cool. If I really thought that, if I was really feeling her, like, not even really feeling her like that. If I wanted to win the show, I think I could have won the show because I would have put forth the effort to win.
Right.
But at some point, you have to decide which is more important. Is it winning the show the most important, or is leaving the show with your dignity and your integrity more important? And I was more willing to keep my dignity.
Okay, then. Okay.
So.
Right. And I remember your name. Were you okay with the name that she gave you? I remember she said the reason why she gave you that name was because she said Onyx is a beautiful stone and this is a beautiful man, so I'm gonna name him Onyx.
Yeah, and I was okay with that, but here's the thing. So this is how at least this is how this happened in our particular case. I'm not going to say in reality TV, but in our particular case. So during that time, and so I'm giving all the secrets. During that time when we had just gotten to LA and we were in that hotel,
right? The
producers actually came to us and asked us to pick a name. No, so basically they were like, pick a couple of names that you would like as sort of your alias, and come up with a reason why you selected that name. And so I was sitting there and I was like, I can't think of any names. Like, well, and so I called a friend of mine back here in DC, and I was like, hey, I said, I gotta pick out a name. Like, what? Help me pick out a name, right? And so she was coming up with all these names, and it was always, all the names sounded like black stripper names. And I was like, why? Like, why do you keep coming up with like stripper names? Like black or dark chocolate or some stupid shit like that. So finally, she said something about Onyx. And then I was like, why does all your names have to do with being black? Like, what is your problem? What's your problem? And so then I was like, but you know what? I said, Onyx is not bad because, I was a college athlete, and my hype music was Onyx. And my roommate back in college, my teammate used to say I look like Sticky Fingers from the group Onyx. And so, at least back, when I was...
Oh, yeah. Sticky Fingers,
so,
I know who you're talking about.
So I was like, you know what? I said, yeah, that's cool. I said, but, I can't mention the group Onyx because of, copyright stuff. So I had to come up with another reason. And so, it had to do with, like, the stone Onyx. And so, I actually picked my own name. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if I assume everyone had chosen a name or a couple of names that they can use and then production, but she did have the option to either keep your name
or change it. Okay.
And she did that like on the I don't know what her prep was, you know what I mean? Like if she did this ahead of time or she did that on the fly, like when we were meeting her, during the introductions. But she was, she changed a lot of people's names. But mine didn't get changed. The only thing that got changed was I spelled it Onyx, like the group Onyx, or like the actual Onyx stone.
Right.
But because Chamo being Spanish, when he wrote it down on my chain, on my little medallion thing, he spelled it Onix, like you would spell it in Spanish.
Right.
And so if you look throughout the show, you will see the spelling of my name changes from time to time. Like it would be Onix, and then it would be Onyx, and then eventually they kind of had to change it because it wasn't consistent. So
Okay.
So I decided, since that's how it was originally, but since from the beginning of the show, Chamo spelled it with an Onix. That's all right. I'm just gonna keep it Oni. At least that makes it a little bit more unique.
Right. Okay. So when it comes to the very next challenge, well, excuse me, I ain't gonna say the first competition, the Man Gents, which is a lot of people's favorite episode of the season. When y'all found out that y'all were gonna have to show off your goods to New York, her mom, and Chama, what was your reaction?
I mean, I was okay. I've been okay with my draws. I mean, I was an amateur bodybuilder, like when I was younger, and so
right.
From like 18 to like 20, like no, I did my first show at 17 actually, 17 to like my mid 20s, and so yeah, I mean, it was no big deal to me.
Okay, then. Did you?
I mean, I thought it was a little, I mean, definitely a bigger audience than what I was used to, but and I ran track and field, so you're used to wearing, stuff with your stuff.
Right. So you were one of the finalists in that competition, and Chamo had asked you a question, the fans just want to know, like, what was your thought process behind answering it? Like, I'm sure you probably took it out of context, but
so in hindsight, I'm like, damn, like that's the one moment I was like, I fucked that up. But what happened was, during the question and answer thing, so they were asking questions, and in my mind, I thought he was asking questions for her.
Okay.
I didn't think he was asking questions for him.
That's how I took it too. That's how I took it too. Yeah.
Then after the fact, I was like, oh, damn! Like, there's a lot of moments when you go back when you don't think about it till it airs.
Right.
And you watch it, you're like, damn, I could have done that a little differently, but it is what it is.
Right.
It was funny.
It was funny, but I remember as I was watching, I was just like, they don't need to give him that type of edit, because I mean, he took it out of context. I would have took it out of context too. I would have figured he asked you that because in the context of sexuality, he asked that for New York, so New York would know how you would be in bed, something like that. That's how I figured.
Right, exactly.
So,
exactly.
But yeah.
But if you notice, there's a running theme, and it was a little irritating.
Right.
But there's a running theme throughout the show that it's like they're like, a lot of times they're trying to kind of insinuate that who is gay and who is straight.
Like 12-pack, yeah.
I was like, what's the point of all that? Like, if somebody was there and they were, if somebody there and it was gay, I mean, eventually, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If they, whether they were gay, straight, or bi, and they wanted to pursue her or pretend to pursue her or whatever, it is what it is. But the whole Sister Patterson thing, there was a lot of stuff that happened behind, that you didn't see on camera,
right?
That we kind of have to maneuver, deal with, and it was, some of it was a little ridiculous, but.
Right, and I noticed 12-pack. He got a lot of that.
Yeah, he got the brunt of that.
Yes, he got a lot of that from Sister Patterson. I want to know, as you guys been in the house, did y'all ever get a gay vibe from 12-pack?
No, I mean, look, 12-pack and I actually became really good friends after the show, and 12-pack he was a theater. I mean, not theater. He was
a stripper.
I think he had done that too, but he was in film school.
Okay.
And so after the show, he was in New York. I was, here in DC, and we did a lot of, we did some, like engagements and parties and hosting and stuff like that after the show. And so, I would go up to New York sometimes and chill, or we travel to other places, kind of like he and he were, they kind of had their thing going, but when they weren't necessarily doing their like dynamic duo routine, a lot of us VH1, Rock of Love and Charm School, like we would all go and like host different parties and stuff. And so I got to know 12 Pack a lot better. He had a couple of film projects that I went up to New Jersey. Actually, I said New York. He was in New Jersey. That went up in New Jersey and filmed some stuff for him. I mean, he had a pretty good knack for film. And granted, like he was 12 Pack was Jersey Shore before Jersey Shore. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who 12 Pack was. He was Jim Tan Laundry. Like that was when I went up there and hung out with him and his friends. I mean, it was that. So I mean, no, I never got a gay vibe from him. But,
okay, then.
I just think that because he was a little out, he was so, like, dude's got hella confidence, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't care, he's just one of those typical white boys that just doesn't, he doesn't care. Like, he has no shame. Sometimes we don't operate like that. We're always too busy worried about what people are thinking or saying. So we filter, you know what I mean? And he's
right.
not, he doesn't filter. So a lot of stuff, he was always getting called out on a lot of stuff like that.
Okay then. So
yeah.
Come the third episode, it was the business episode where y'all had to talk about your income. Did you like your edit that they gave you during that episode when you were speaking to New York? And
I did, and that's when you. So there comes a point when for all of us when we sort of realize what our character is, what our storyline is,
right.
And that's when I was like, okay, like that's who I am, right? So I was the corporate guy. I mean, I have a job, I had a career, compared to a lot of those dudes that were just kind of, just trying to get on TV and just kind of make it, what I mean? Like, didn't really, there were a few of us that actually, had careers that we had to go back to at the end of the show. And so, I was, educated, I have a master's degree, all that kind of stuff. So now I'm like, okay, like the whole premise of the show is kind of like, who's she gonna pick? Like, is she gonna pick the normal kind of straight-laced dude, or is she gonna pick, the thuggish kind of dude, or is she gonna pick nerdy dude, right? So, yeah, I was actually cool with that. I met Omarosa, who I'm still friends with today. I mean, granted, everyone has their opinion of Omarosa, but
I like her. I think she's cool.
Beyond politics, Omarosa is cool as hell.
Right.
Yeah, I was cool with that. Like, that episode, that day, man. Let me tell you, that day was probably the most stressful day of that whole experience.
I'm sure.
And part of that was because of Pootie.
Right.
So what you don't see on the show is everything that led up to that moment. Now, granted, we knew what happened after that, but leading up to that moment, that day when we got this assignment to do the presentation, that dude was stressed. I mean, because this was something. It was almost like a school assignment. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's good with homework, and so trying to come up with a presentation that and his mind, he was his self-esteem wasn't really there.
Right.
His level of self-esteem was and then knowing that he's going to have to present sort of his life to millions of people, that life that he may not have been, he might have been a little ashamed of, was enough to kind of take take him over the edge. I mean, he was already teetered. Like he's obviously was already having some psychological issues, whether depression or anxiety or whatever it was, and this just escalated everything. And so earlier that day, he was stealing my project. That dude stole my project. Like, he stole my project. He stole, I think it was Rico.
I mean, 12 pack.
Yeah, like I think what they show on the show, I think they show him taking 12 packs, but he took mine first, and I got into it with him a little bit, and then I can't remember if I got it back or I think I had to start it all over again. Something happened. Like I can't really remember, but I was the first one that had, because he was trying to be a bully, so he was going around just ganking people's stuff, and everybody was like, "Yo, man, like, come on, man, like." We get it. This isn't your thing.
Yeah, he was doing
so you'd rather steal somebody else's stuff than do your own, and So when we got there, that dude was sweating. He was sweating bullets before we even got started. He was so nervous. I mean, we were all nervous, but yeah, that dude. And so once it was all over, I was either coming out of the boardroom. I think I was coming out of the boardroom when he decided he was gonna throw himself down the stairwell.
Okay.
And jump out of a window. That's what really happened. He was trying to jump out of a window.
What? Oh, yeah. Lordy. So what was production's reaction to it? Were they scared?
What was his reaction?
Production's reaction to Pootie, reacting like that.
Oh, well, like I said, everyone else was still, so New York and Omarosa, and they were still in the boardroom, so they didn't really know what was happening until kind of after the fact.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and then, the producers kind of filled them in, later, I'm pretty sure, as we were headed back to the mansion. But even between then and between that, the moment this happened, and then, by the time we got out to the vans, and then we had that whole fight with White Boy and Tango in the van, it had started before we even got in the van. Like because some of us were a little bit more concerned with him, and then other people were kind of like, just let that man, just let him be, man. He's feeling a type of ways, this and that. And then others, including myself, were just more concerned because we saw something seriously wrong. He wasn't just upset and embarrassed. I mean, which is a part of it, but it was a lot deeper than that. And so, whereas White Boy and Tango already didn't get along. Like those two were from the beginning, I think, just kind of clashed. And so,
okay.
But that moment, White Boy had something to say to Tango, and that was it. Just escalated from there.
Right,
so,
right.
And yeah, and so we were all in the same van together, and got into the van, and then we had I don't know if you can tell that when you're watching the show that some people are in the van in the first part, and then in the second half of that, it looks the same people aren't there. It's because we had to move people out of one van into another van just for us to get home without somebody knocking somebody out.
Right. So then, come episode 4, y'all had to build Your Majesty a doghouse, and y'all were put on teams.
That was a fun day.
You said what?
That was a fun day.
Yes.
That was one of the better days. Yeah.
Okay, so it was fun building that.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, granted, you got a lot of, you have a lot of chief engineers out there, wanting to do their own thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was a fun experience. The only thing about that day and that experience is how they divided us up in teams, which was very strategic. Because they knew certain people already didn't get along with each other. or or may not have liked each other, and so they purposely put people on teams with people they didn't want to be on teams with. And so obviously that makes a good, interesting experiment for television. So you know you're going to get some good moments out of that. So
Okay.
I personally think that we should have won the doghouse competition because we did have the best doghouse, but
Right. And then after that competition, y'all had Sister Patterson had took y'all to church. And before I continue, I just want to say that I agreed 100% with what you said. Because I have family members that react like that when there's a big group of people around. So I know, So I noticed you were sitting in church while she was, parading around, and you were just making this face like, is she fucking serious? So I want to know, what was your thought process when you saw her reacting like that?
Yeah. So here's how it started. So we were up. We had been there about a week, and we were up. Like, we've been drinking and just being up all night, like for days, right? Just days.
Right.
And so, not once at any time did anybody mention anything about church, God, spirituality, like none of that. Like that wasn't even a conversation at any given time throughout that whole week. And so, and it was interesting how we had to. I'd always wondered why we had to start calling her Sister Patterson, because in Flavor of Love, her name wasn't Sister Patterson. Like it was
Michelle, Miss Michelle.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, why are we calling her Sister Patterson? Well, now when this came around, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, it is, whatever. So we were up late. This was one night when it got real heated. The night before, it got real heated because Sister Patterson was really going after 12-pack about being gay. Like she was getting nasty. She was getting a little nasty anyway, and a lot of people were getting pissed off. And so we had been up late that night. I can't even tell you how many hours, if it were even hours, maybe a couple hours of sleep. Like I don't even know, because we didn't have clocks, so you didn't know what time it was. Like the lights were on until somebody went to sleep. Like the only way the lights would go off was if everyone in your room was asleep, or if people were in your room asleep and no one else was in there. So if people wanted to go to sleep, you had to say, okay, we're not going to go in that room anymore. They're going to go to sleep. And production actually controls the lights. We don't control the lights. So production says, okay, we're going to turn off the lights in that room and let these people sleep. Then that's cool. But if people come into that room, if something happens and people end up in that room and the cameras are following them, the lights come on, right? So, like that night, we were all up late and drinking, and Sister Patterson had been there that night before, and then all of a sudden, at like 6 o'clock, maybe, she comes banging on doors and making noise, telling everybody, "Get up, we going to church. Get up, we going to put on your Sunday best. We going to church." And we was like, "What the fuck? Like, we don't, for what? Like, what are we going to church for? Nothing about this show right now says church. What are we going to church?" And so, out of all those people there, like, not everybody has, number one, not everybody's Christian. Too, there's some Jewish dudes in there. There's some, whoever you would call them, atheists, agnostic, whatever. Like, there are people in there that weren't necessarily feeling church, right?
Right.
But of course, everybody was forced to go. Not everybody had clothes. You know how we do. As black folk, man, you gotta wear church clothes. You can't be walking up in the church looking like however, even though it says "come as you are." You don't let everybody come as they are. So, some people were like, "I don't want to go because I don't feel comfortable like wearing what I'm wearing." And one of those was Chance. So we had that whole issue before we even got to church. There was a whole issue with her and Chance because he was like, I'm not taking my bandana off. I'm not taking my hat off. And part of the reason, I'll be straight up, he's gonna be mad at me for telling this, but the reason why that dude didn't want to take his hat off because he hadn't gotten lined up. He hadn't had his hair. He hadn't had a haircut, so he didn't want. So he didn't want to take his bandana and his hat off, right, to go into church.
Right.
So you know, it really had nothing to do but the fact that that dude hadn't gotten trimmed up. So, so we get there, and I was already a little bit not interested in this experience because, you know, I'm a preacher's kid, and I knew that this had something to do with, you know, I knew this was going to have something to do with me, because you know, they know everything about us for the most part, like at least everything that we told them about us, and they knew I was a preacher's kid, right? So I knew that going to church was going to have something to do with me, and I did not want to go play church. Like, after all of the experiences that we'd had up until this point, I saw no reason why we should be going to church right now.
Okay.
And so it just wasn't. I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, this is some bullshit. So, so we get there, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was actually a real church service. Like, we legitimately went to church. It was a church in Compton, and they had like 2 services on Sunday, and they just you know, they told everybody to come to that one service, so you know, so it'd be packed. But at the same time, it's still TV, so it's still production, right? You still have all the cameras, and the producers are all there and everything. But once we got in there, they started playing the music. The choir, they marched in, you know what I'm saying? And they read the announcements. You know, they did all that stuff. I was like, you know, it's a real church service. You know, the sermon was good. It was a good sermon. You know, I was actually, after it was over, I was like, wow, like I needed that. Even though it wasn't like, you know, I was back at home. It wasn't like I was at church every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, shit. But at the same time, I needed it because it was the only like real normal experience I think we'd had since we'd been there. You know, and so once the lady got up and read the announcements, and then she said, "Can we now we're gonna have a few words by Sister Patterson." I was like, "Why she gotta talk? Like this is not her church. Like this is not her church. Like why she gotta talk?" And so when she got up there, and then, you know, I thought she was just gonna get up there and just kind of say a few words, whatever, which is cool. Well, you know, it's a TV show. You know, it's her part of her show. She can get up, she can say a few words, but she literally went from, "Hi, I'm you know, Sister Michelle Patterson," to "Catching the Holy Spirit" in like 0.2 seconds. And I was like, "Yo, that was not called for. That was unnecessary, and it was fake." And that's that. I can't. So I didn't say anything about it until we got outside to that pool. So before we got to the pool, we actually had a brunch, and they didn't show this on the show. They cut this out. So we had a brunch after we got back from church. And we were all just kind of sitting talking. It was real chill, you know. It was all just having casual conversations.
Right.
And they came to me and they started going around the room. They were asking people, you know, like, how was church? And they came to me, and I was like, you know, talking about just basically how, you know, growing up in a church, my father was, you know, my grandfather was a pastor, and then my dad was the pastor, and I was just sharing my experience of how church is. It's personal to me because when you grow up in your family's church, it's sometimes going to having other church experiences is little, you know, it's just different because it's not you're not looking at your father or your grandfather up there, like you know, and you're used to them and their delivery and their message, and so sometimes you go to churches, you're kind of like, you know, all right, whatever, like sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't, right? And so.
Right. So
I was just, you know, kind of explaining that to them. You know, how church is a personal experience. And so, and how, how I really liked the service. Like I felt real at home there and everything. And, so, after all that, fast forward, we go outside, we're chilling at the pool because nothing was really happening at that point. And, that's when I think it was real. Was like, said something about, Sister Patterson, like she's this, she's that, whatever. And I was like, yeah, cool, but I was like, but she was faking up there today. Like, I mean, I couldn't hold it in, man. I couldn't hold, because like literally hours before she caught the Holy Spirit, she was yelling, making fun of 12-pack, saying that he was gay and cussing at him and shit. And then fast forward a few hours later, we at church and she catches the Holy Spirit. Like I felt a certain kind of way about that. And I felt like, and then after I said it, I was like, oh shit, like, all right, you done done it now. Like, you're gonna have to defend yourself now. Like, because sometimes because I was very conscious of the camera and what I was saying. And when I was, because when, so they would take you into, like, you would have, you notice how sometimes you have interviews that were in the room,
right? And
then other times you'd have interviews, not in the room. So the interviews when you weren't up in the room, up in the room, they were just called on the fly interview. So anytime something happened and they wanted to get your immediate reaction from it, they would just interview you right there. When you go up into the room, you have to wear the same clothes every time. So you had a set of clothes that you only wore for that sit down interview. And the reason why you do that is because they can take any footage from your interviews up there, and they could put it anywhere they want to in the show. So you could be talking about something that happened one day, but they could take your comment and your reaction and put that towards something else. So it looks like you're reacting to something that you weren't even necessarily reacting to.
Right.
Right. So I was very cautious about when they were trying to sort of manipulate you, or like I said, or get you to talk about somebody, and so they would get mad at me all the time because they would see me on camera. Like they know what they could see my facial expressions. Like they knew how I was feeling. And then they would take me and put me in an interview, and I would say something completely different. And then it's like, damn, and they don't like that because the continuity is off, right? They can't see you react in one way and then you say something different. So now they kind of have to toss that. Like they can't use that because it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So I used to do that all the time, and they didn't like that. So this time though, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to defend myself. And then I was like, but I can't take it back. So they went, and unbeknownst to me, they approached. I think they approached White Boy and Chance, and they told them basically that they needed to go tell New York what I said about her mom. And no, scratch that. That's backwards. They went to Tango and Rico because they knew we were boys, right? They went to them and told them that they were going to have to go tell Sister Patterson about what, and Miss Tiffany, what I said about Sister Patterson. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. Because we had already sort of had our little pact, right? That if any of us said anything about the other in an interview, because we felt that, because we may have felt pressure to, talk shit about somebody, that we would immediately come tell them what we said. So that way no one was caught off guard. So it wasn't like when we get home, we watch this show, you're going to be pissed off because you thought you were cool with somebody and then you found out that they were just talking shit about you.
Right.
So we already said, hey, we're going to be straight up and honest with each other about what we say, because we understood at this point how the game kind of worked, right? So they went and they told them that, hey, well, if you guys don't do it, you're his boys. If you guys aren't going to do it, then we're going to go get White Boy or Chance or one of those dudes that don't really care, and they'll go and tell her. But they won't be diplomatic about it, right? They're not going to stick up for him, even though I was cool with them at the point. But we weren't, they were playing the game, and the producers knew that, so they would do and say whatever they needed to say to keep going. And so then there's a scene where you see where you see Tango tell Rico, like, fuck it, let's just go tell her. That was that moment. And so they went up and they basically just did what the producers wanted them to do, and they ratted me out. But Tango immediately came to find me to tell me what happened. And the producers knew that he was coming to tell me. So what they did was they took me and put me in another interview so he couldn't get to me. And that interview was right before the elimination. So I had no clue what had happened or what was going to happen. So if you watch closely in the elimination, the day that I get eliminated, they keep going back and forth between Tango's face and my face, because I already knew at that point that there was a possibility I was going to go home, because I did an interview with them and I doubled down on it. I was like, since past year she was faking, all this kind of stuff. So I was like, might as well go with it. At this point, I was kind of ready to go. I was like, I'm either going to stay and get eliminated the next week or the next time, or I'm going to get eliminated today. But either way, I know I'm not winning at this point, because my whole thing was like, at some point, because they had told me right before this, they were like, you got to step your game up. Like, there were like 10 of us left. They're like, you got to step your game up. You got to start spending more one-on-one time with her. You got to start showing her that that you want to get to know her. But at this point, I was like, after, nah, I'm good. After seeing her sit there and make out with Boston, anytime she was kissing or making out with anybody, we were all there. Like, we may not have been in frame, you couldn't see that we were there, but we were all right there. So anytime she was hanging out or spending time or making out with somebody, like, we just all standing around, like, watching it. Like, so during that elimination, Tango was like, I'm going to get eliminated. And this is, after the fact when he and I talked. He was like, I thought I was going to get eliminated for being a snitch. She's going to be like, why would I keep you, and this is supposed to be your boy. You rat your boy out, And so he thought he was going to get eliminated. And here I am thinking, well, yeah, I'm probably gone. Like, it's whatever. But Tango was sweating bullets because he thought he was done for. And at the same time, he knew that he couldn't. He knew that if I got eliminated, it was because of him. And he's like, "This is my boy," and I just ran him out, and now he's getting eliminated, and so now he's gonna be, like I look like, I look like the bad guy right now.
Right.
And so that's how it went down. And after I got eliminated, I wish. Like, I wish I was a little bit more in the moment. Like, I'm glad that I kind of left on, with a little bit of a high note. Like, I still had my dignity intact. But if I had to do all over again, I would have made a nasty scene on the way out that door. I was like, damn, why did I do that?
Well, you did say something to her. You were like, said something about you feeling like you're still a good person or something like that. And she was like, you're talking out your ass right now because your damn show ain't better than New York.
And then she said, you're not good enough for New York.
Oh, yeah. That's what you said.
I think I'm better.
And you were like, I think I'm better, yeah.
So, it was all right. It was cool. But, I would have liked to... after watching several shows after that, I'm like, damn, I really could have blew it up right there, but nah, just let it go. after that, like, we all know that it was a TV show. Like,
Right.
whatever. It's no hard feelings. I actually talked to Sister Patterson a little bit after, at one point. She happened to be down in Miami for something, and somehow ended up with White Boy, I think, at some club party or something. I don't know. I don't know how. It's weird. I don't know how it happened. But anyway, she ended up with White Boy at some party somewhere. And so I ended up talking to her, you know, just like, you know, hey, you know, it's all cool. Like, I know this is all for TV, you know, no hard feelings, you know, it's all good. And yeah, no problems, right? So we get the call for the reunion show, and the producers call you and they do like a prep, you know, and for the reunion show, and they ask you questions, you know, and say, okay, it's going to go like this, it's going to go like that. You know, this is what we want you to do. Would you be willing to do this and that? And so for my thing was, you know, are you willing to apologize to Tiffany and her mom for, you know, calling her fake and this and that? And I was like, I don't know, maybe, you know, like, I don't take it back. You know what I mean? Like, that was a real moment. Like, I was telling the truth. Like, I don't want to take it back. But maybe I was like, maybe I can apologize for maybe calling her out.
Okay,
but I'll think about it. Like, you know, let's wait till we get there and then we'll decide. Right. And so we got to the show, and I was in the green room, and the producers came in. I was like, because they were like, you know, we're gonna set this up where, you know, we're gonna have you on stage, and then, or Sister Patty on stage, and you'll come up and you'll sit on stage, and then you can, you know, apologize there. And then I was like, you know what? No, that's all right. I don't need to apologize. Like, that's not. For what? Like, what am I apologizing for? There's no, like, I was telling the truth, and I think most people would probably agree with what I said. So I'm not going to apologize. So they were like, okay, well, you're not going to come on stage. You can sit at your seat during that segment, and you guys can talk about it. You know, talk about it from your seat. I was like, all right, cool. You know, it is whatever. So yeah. So then that moment came up, and you know, and I said what I had to say. I think it got. Honestly, I really can't remember exactly what was said. I think it may have gotten a little heated, you know, but
it wasn't. It wasn't more so heated. They had asked you. Lala had asked you how you felt about her at this point, and you were like, "Well, I mean, me and her pretty much got along. I never really had a problem with her." And then Sister Patterson was like, "Well, Onyx, you questioned my faith." And then you were like, "Well, I feel like you was putting on for the cameras. Praise them, praise them." Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, so.
That's funny. I have to go back and watch some of these now. They keep, for a minute there, I was like, yo, like, this show will never, like, are they going to play this for eternity? Like, they would, every year. They kept coming back. And then we went maybe a couple of years that they didn't show it. And then, boom, like, the Of Love, Valentine's Day, like the week of, like they started, I think they did that maybe like 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, every once in a while I was like, hey, I get a phone call, be like, hey, I see you right now. Like, oh, shit, here we go again. So let me tell you about the reunion show.
Okay.
So Tango called me towards the end of the episode. I don't know if it was the finale, episode 9 or 10 or something like that. Whenever it happened. Whenever it was the episode where Tiffany says something about him. What did she say?
She said something about his mom.
Something about his mom, right?
And that was episode 9. Yes.
And that pissed him off, right? So he calls me, and we were talking about it. Dude was heated, yo. And I was like, all right. So what are you gonna do? You know, like what's up with this? So he was like, don't worry about it. He's like, I got a plan. I don't want to tell his story just in case you end up interviewing him. But so he says, he calls me up like right before the reunion show, you know, and he was like, Onyx, like, you know, he's like, hey, look, this is what's going to go down. And I was like, oh shit, like this is, you about ready to, so I don't know what conversations he was having with production about what he was going to do at the show. Like, I do know that he was supposed to propose, right? Because he had the ring.
Right.
And so he didn't tell me exactly what was going to happen, but he was just kind of like, something's going to go down. I can't necessarily say exactly what it is, but just be ready, right? So I think it was accumulation of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew, number one, that when it came to Chance and it came to White Boy, that there was some possibility it might come to blows. So he was like, you know, hey, you got my back? I was like, hey, I got your back. You know, even though Chance was cool, you know, White Boy and I, we had a little falling out at one point. But, you know, Tango was my boy. So I was like, you know, hey, I got you, you know. And whatever, it's TV. Like, you know, it is what it is. We got to do what we got to do. So if you need me, I got your back. So, right before we started filming and we were in the green room and stuff, he was like, you know, hey, just, you know, like, be ready because it can go down. Just, you know, just stay on guard, whatever. But I can't remember exactly how far it got because there was a lot of stuff that y'all didn't see too. But when he came out and what did he say? You have to remind because you're the expert now. What did he say to her with the?
He came out there and he brought up how he felt after the show, and he said, I sat back and I watched New York disrespect me, and I sat back and I watched her disrespect my mother, and I can't fly. It's over. And then he walks off and he puts his hand up. Yeah. And
then, but there was a lot. There was some stuff that happened after that. Like off camera, it got pretty messy. And I just remember just like at the edge of my seat, just like ready to jump, you know, because I was like, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. But it never really didn't get to that point. The producers and the bouncers and everybody kind of came in and did their thing.
Right, right. All they showed on television was New York trying to get at Tango because Tango
right. They were holding her back. Yeah. There you go. Man, you're gonna have me. I'm gonna have to go back. I got the box set. I'm gonna have to go put my DVDs in. You know?
Did you order it or did they like give it to you?
No, man, I had to order it.
Okay.
Cheap bastards. They didn't give us nothing.
Okay then. So how long after I Love New York season 1 did you get the call for I Love Money 2?
Oh, it was about a year and a half, I think.
Okay, so they didn't
maybe 2 years. I think total by the time we filmed it, it was about 2 years, almost 2 years. Okay, then so they didn't offer you a spot for the first season? No, they didn't offer me a spot for the first season. Okay. And then because I know what they even on the second season, you know, we were all the way into Mexico. Like we were all the way down in we were in
Huatulco,
which is like close to like the Guatemala border. Like it was, you know, it was pretty far down there, and so. There were people who were down there that got cut and had to send back home because they just decided that they had some extras, you know, just like they did with us in the hotel. So they had some people that they brought down because basically what they're doing, they're writing storylines, and so. If they don't necessarily feel that you have a good storyline that they could expand upon, then they didn't see a need for you there.
Okay, then.
And I know for the first season with all the people who were on the first season, like I wasn't as big of a standout, I don't think, and so I don't think that they really had necessarily thought that I would have a good storyline in that particular group. But the group that I was in, I mean, I had some relationships with some of the people there, but yeah, we can talk about that. I Love Money is the only thing that out of this whole experience that really pissed me off, because I thought that was kind of stupid.
Okay, I felt like they chose you for the second season because of your body type. They were like, oh, he's gonna be a good competitor. He's strong. That's how I felt. I thought they chose you simply because of your vernacular.
And I think also they chose me too because I think they thought that Buddha and I would be rivals.
Okay.
And I say that is because Buddha was like the I Love New York 2 version of me.
Okay.
So it's interesting if you go back and when you watch I Love Money or I Love New York 2, there's like similarities. There's a character who emulates a character from the first season, right? It's not that they're necessarily looking for our doppelgangers, but they're looking for the similarities.
Right.
And Buddha and I were very similar, even though Buddha's like, he's a bigger dude than I am, but
right.
We were a lot alike in some ways. He's a little bit more aggressive than me. He's a little bit more alpha male than I am, but because that dude, he'd be ready to fight and stuff. But I think that they thought that we would. That we would be rivals, considering it was a competition-based show, like a physical competition show.
Right. And do you remember the 2 castmates that were sent back on your season when y'all flew out to Mexico? Like, are you sure?
I know one was, she was from Rock of Love.
Okay.
And I can't remember who the other one was.
Okay then. And the first challenge when y'all had to do the mud, getting the coins out the mud, what was that like for you?
Oh man, I was so mad at that. Because you think it's so easy.
It looked easy, yeah.
Yeah, it was not easy. Like the only way, and I think everyone was trying to be safe. Everyone was trying to just kind of stay pretty, and just kind of feel around and not get their head or their face muddy. But that was the wrong way to handle that competition. Like you had to literally just get in there and just splash around and stir up the bottom, because those washers would sink down to the bottom, and there was like a layer of mud under there. So the only way to get them was to make them move closer up to the top. So you really had to get it. And so I can't remember who it was. Maybe in Buddha. I don't know. There's a few people that kind of figured that out.
Yeah, T-Weed was the one who went crazy in the mud.
Yeah, T-Weed. Yeah, T-Weed. Oh, T-Weed, boy. Oh, man.
But why did I Love Money piss you off so much?
Because I went in thinking I was smart and really tried to strategize. And then I realized I wasn't playing with people who were that smart.
Okay. So you feel like your elimination was bullshit?
Oh, hell yeah, it was. Like we had a good thing going on, but because people were too dumb to understand, and which I get it, like it's a competition show, like, and I'm not gonna lie, I would have been competition, but I had an alliance with people that I thought we were on the same wavelength. Like I thought that they would be, if they would play the game right, we really could have been successful. But no, they wanted to Heat, which is funny. I just hit up Heat about a week ago. We were on IG Live and just kind of chatting or whatever. Right. But even though I thought he was real stupid on the show, he's still my boy. But so we had this alliance, and he wanted to. And the thing is, he was already on I Love Money. He was already on the first I Love Money.
Okay.
And so he would rather take the storyline with he and who was it, Leilani. He'd rather have that, the little fake love interest.
Oh, okay. You mean
actually
Leilani?
playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, so it comes down to either keep me and let's play this game, or keep her because that storyline with her, he thought would keep him on the show longer.
Okay, so he was thinking production wise.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was thinking about what's best for his image, basically.
And I'm not gonna lie to you.
He wanted to have the love interest on the show.
Right.
I could have had a love interest on the show, but I had a girl back at home, and I couldn't. And so, you know, Mercedes. It probably would have been Mercedes, but I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't justify coming home and being like, you know, hey, well, you about to see some stuff.
I would have been so here for that relationship. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Yeah, because she made it pretty far. She came fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the way Leilani played the game, it really irked me a lot. I feel like she was playing more so for love, as if it was a of love show rather than it was, you know, a competition for money show. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
And you had ended up you came 18th, you left second. That really pissed me off because watching the I Love Money seasons, I always rooted for the I Love New York guys. And it just used to bother me that none of the seasons, I just wish y'all would have came together like, hey, you know, we're from I Love New York, let's all come together. You know what I'm saying? And
that's what I thought I was doing with Heat. You know, I was like, because the thing was that, you know, I ended up on a team that I didn't want to be on necessarily. Like, I knew that I wasn't really sure. Like, we were kind of stacked, and it was me and Buddha on the same team.
Right.
And I knew at some point that would get shaken up, right? Because there's no way they would have let us stay, right? They would have let us stay on the same team for too long. And so, you know, and then we had, you know, MILF, who was also athletic. Like, I just knew that our team wasn't going to last that long. So my thing was like, okay, I'm good. I can at least form an alliance with some people. We can kind of maneuver through this. We're gonna, you know, and as long as everyone plays their role, we could be cool. And so we get to that boxing challenge, like up in, you know, and up on the suspended boxing ring thing.
Right.
And the thing was like, we had already had, my team was already gonna win. And so, hold on, I have to think about this. But my thing was, I was supposed to throw the fight, right?
Okay.
But because Heat kept trying to not fight when he needed to fight. And because he kept doing that, by the time, and I was trying not to fight because I knew I had to throw my fight in order for them to win the challenge. So I was watching how they were pairing people up, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, like I can maybe get through this and not have to fight, and then I'm still throwing the challenge, but you know, I'm not going to get in the ring and throw a fight that they know they're going to know that I'm throwing it, because I end up in the ring. So they had already won, right? Basically, I knew that if even if I won my fight, they were going to win the next fight and win.
Exactly.
So I end up in the ring with Mercedes.
Yes.
How the hell am I going to throw that fight?
Right.
So I'm trying to get them to understand, like, look, I'm not going to throw this fight because I know that you're still going to win. Your next fight, you're going to win that, because it was Jason against it was Heat against one of our females.
Miami,
right?
Yes.
And so, which looking back, I'm like, Miami probably would have kicked his ass anyway. But anyway, so yeah, I'm like, why would I throw this fight? I'm going to win so that you can win the next fight, and then we're all good. But I'm not going to sit here and let my team know that I've got this alliance, and I'm going to throw my fight with Mercedes. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, so, and so that's why I was pissed off, because I'm like, what was the point of actually trying to be strategic about this game when, you know, when you're dealing with people and their own personal interests and egos and stuff like that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So after that challenge, and I just thought this whole little storyline right here was funny as hell. And I'm glad she didn't do it. In a way, I kind of wish she did, because you probably could have stayed if she did do this. But there was a storyline where Buck Wild got so pissed about Laylene and what she did with the Buddha shit.
Oh, yeah.
And she was just like, on the boat, she was like, wait a minute, if you quit, then Buddha's going to go into the box, and he's definitely going home. So she's like literally sitting there like trying to make her feel bad, like, you are a fucked up ass friend. The only way that you'll earn my friendship back is if you quit and let Buddha end up in the box. So, but of course that didn't happen, and you end up getting eliminated. But do you think, had Buddha ended up in the box, you think you would have stayed?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Okay. Did you know about that plan that Buck Wild and Laylene were trying to do?
No, I had no idea about that.
Yes. Okay.
Buck Wild was she was very strategic. Buck Wild's a bully too. And we got into it. We got into it once. I don't even know if it was on camera. I can't even remember. I know there was at one point when we were all trying to determine who was going to end up in the box.
The vault, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the vault, and she got pissed off, I guess, because of, you know, my alliance with the rest of them or something. I can't remember how it went down. I just know that I did not like that girl, woman. I did not like her at all. Even though I know a lot of what she was doing was petite. She was cool. Like, I thought she was so cool. Like, up until that moment when I actually experienced just her nastiness, and I was like, man, like, I thought you were cool. I really thought you were cool. But now I just really, you know, because yeah, she was a bully. And she just didn't, you know, and I get it. It's money. You know, everybody's fighting for this money. I get it, you know. But that just wasn't an excuse for her to be the way she was a lot of times. But it is what it is.
Right. So then y'all get to...
I just talk it out to, you know, it's television, it's people's egos, and people want to get paid, you know, and I understand it. Sometimes money will make... That's why it's called I love money. So money will make you... You know, will bring out the worst in people.
Right. So, at the elimination, he ends up giving Buck Wild the first check, and then it's down to you and Laylene. He calls you up, and he felt like your failure to throw the challenge, even though you've already explained why you couldn't, his failure to throw the challenge is why I'm eliminating him. I feel like he can't be trusted. And on your way out, you told the camera...
That's some bullshit.
Right, and then on the way out, you told the cameras... He just eliminated his only friend in the house.
Yeah. That was the whole thing, man. That's the reason why, like, that's the only reason why I formed an alliance with him, is because, like, we were cool. Like, we were boys. Me and he and 12 Pack, like, we hung out all the time. We would tour together. We would go to do, you know, host events and stuff together and parties. And I knew him. That's the thing. Like, I knew you. I know you. You are legitimately a friend, and yet this is how you want to play this game, because, you know, it's your fame that you're more, you know, and I get it. It's television, right? That's why most of the people are on there. But I thought he would be a little. I just thought it would be different.
Right.
And I regret that, because I legitimately thought I was playing this game with a friend. Right.
And also around that time, which was a lot of this is brought out on the Talk of Love podcast with Lacey Skulls, they were talking about how after the first season of I Love New York, that's when people started getting offered shows left and right. And I think a lot of them knew that I Love Money was kind of like that bridge to their own show.
Right.
So, because, you know, 12 Pack had a show on the way. Yeah, 12 Pack had a show. Boston had a show. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I feel like their decisions were, just like you said, based on their fame and what they could accomplish with the network.
Right.
So, And
You know? And that's the thing too, that's the only thing I didn't really like about the experience, and that was when it comes down to it, it's all about who's going to be our next moneymaker.
Okay.
And so, you know, the producers just they would cater to the people who were just not genuine people, you know. So it was like, you know, you could be an asshole, but if you're good for TV, then we're cool with that. We'll give you what you want and do, you know, and make things easier for you.
I got you.
You know?
I got you.
And you know, and I wasn't. I mean, I was just a humble. You know, to me, I'm just a humble dude. Like, you know, and I try to be, you know, nice to everybody, and you know, and enjoy the experience, and you know, and just try to be as open and honest as I can, as long as I don't feel like I'm being manipulated, right, or taken advantage of.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I mean, it was really about, you know, if they thought that these are certain people that were better for ratings or better for TV, then they're the ones who kind of got catered to. But,
Okay.
I mean, that's how it works.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not butthurt about it. I was just disappointed sometimes.
Okay. And did you go to the reunion for this season?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. What was this reunion? Did you feel like this reunion was better than the I Love New York reunion?
I'm gonna say no, only because it's not as vivid to me as the I Love New York reunion was.
Okay, so they didn't really.
And it's probably because my experience wasn't that long, right? I wasn't on there that long.
Right,
so it really
right,
didn't matter.
right. So they didn't really converse with you as much. Like they didn't bring you on the stage or anything.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't even hardly remember anything that happened. I just remember the party that we had afterwards.
Right. Y'all still got a check for showing up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right then. So
you know, I got to see everybody again. You know, and you know, reminisce. Like I said, we got to party a little bit. So
right.
Yeah, it was fun.
And were you surprised that Miami had ended up winning?
I was actually happy that she did, because out of all the people there, she's probably one of the nice. Like I still talk to Miami to this day. She's come to DC before, you know, we've hung out. And I know she's doing some really good things,
right,
you know, with the money that she did win. And I knew that. Like, I knew that if she was gonna win, like, she would actually do something that was worth it, and with that money, and not just, you know, end up throwing it away on some dumb shit. Like, I knew that she had a plan, and that, you know, and she's good. She is good people, really good people.
Okay, then. So had VH1 offered you your own chance at a dating show, would you have took that opportunity?
That's a good. You know, I don't think anybody's ever asked me that before. I think so. I don't see why I wouldn't. I think I probably would have gone through the same mental process that I went through with I Love New York. Kind of like, you know, is this really what I should be doing? Is this what I want to do? You know, because initially with I Love New York, it was like, after Flavor of Love, I told myself, I was like, okay, like, I don't know what this experience is going to be like, but do I want to go onto a show that I feel is going to perpetuate negative stereotypes of our people?
Right.
And then I said, well, why don't you go and change that? You don't have to be a stereotype. You don't have to be a negative stereotype. You can go and be somewhat of a positive influence if given the opportunity. So, okay, go ahead and do it, right? Like I said, as long as you leave with your dignity and your integrity, you're good, you know? And yeah, I think I probably would have. Depending upon my situation, because, I ended up in a relationship, and so it was like I would have had to be like, hey, I'm about to go do this show. You're just gonna have to hold off for a little bit, like, just trust that I got this, and you know what I mean, like, because not too many women are gonna be okay with their man going and having to being on the dating show with a whole bunch of other women. So
right.
I would have had to find a way to maneuver that.
Right, and see, that was actually going to be the kind of deal for 12 Pack, because 12 Pack, he actually ended up doing Daisy of Love.
That's right. Dang, I almost forgot about that.
Right, and he said that they had a development deal for him, and his girlfriend was literally okay with him doing it. So in some instances, I guess when your girlfriend kind of looks at it as, hey, this is an opportunity for him, they'll be okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, because let me tell you, there was a moment on I Love New York when the power went out. The power went out for maybe a couple of hours.
Right.
And so when the power went out, that means none of the mics were working. I mean, the mics, of course, had batteries in it, but that means none of the receivers were working, so they couldn't hear what you were saying, and they weren't filming you. Everybody had a girl back at home. Everybody was talking, because when you are mic'd up 24 hours a day, camera on you 24 hours a day, you end up censoring yourself a lot. Like you don't necessarily say a lot of the things that you want to say. Some people do, for whatever, but normal people with normal common sense kind of self-censor, right? Like,
right.
But when we knew nobody was recording, we were telling all our secrets. Like, everybody was like, yeah, so you got a girl back home? Yeah, I got a girl back home. She's cool. She let me come out here and do this. And it's like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, like, how you feel about New York? Like, do you really like her? I'm like, no, man, I hope she don't try to kiss me. Like
oh my God. Y'all are a mess. Y'all are a hot mess. Crazy. So, after the I Love New York phase and everything, she actually did 2 other shows, New York Goes to Hollywood and New York Goes to New York Goes to Work.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of those? Or?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a fan of hers.
She's funny, yeah.
I'm not trying to, like I said, I wasn't necessarily feeling her on the romantic level, but we had some conversations, that weren't on camera. We had some moments where we actually sat and talked, and I don't think that people, New York is the image. Tiffany is a different person, I think.
Okay.
And so, I like her. I mean, as a person, I think, I just wasn't necessarily, like, I don't know if she'd necessarily be, like, if it wasn't for the show and we met each other, like, would we, like, be buddies, friends, and, like, chilling like that? Maybe, probably not. Like, there's still a part of her that I'm just, like, it's like, okay, like, I can do without that.
Right.
I can do that part without you, but but for the most part, I think she's good people, and she's taking advantage of her opportunity, which is hey, more power to you.
Right.
And but yeah, so I watched all the shows. I didn't catch. I only watched a little bit of was Family.
Family Therapy with Dr. Drew.
Family Therapy, yeah.
She also did
the whole thing.
Yeah, she also did a Celebrity Big Brother, which I freaking love.
I didn't watch that. I wasn't really a Big Brother fan. Like sometimes I would just kind of watch clips and stuff, or I'd go on YouTube and watch clips, but I never really watched the show all the way through.
Right. So, and one fan wants to know, do you feel like 51 Minds was very repetitive in the of love genre? Because from I Love New York, Real and Chance got a show, Frank the Entertainer got a show.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from Flavor of Love, New York got hers, and then from Rock of Love, Daisy got hers. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it seemed like everybody was just getting shows left and right and left and right.
Because it was working.
Right.
Like the formula was working, and so you know how television is. It's like when they ride it they ride the wave until it's done, until it's dried out, and that's what they were doing. You know, they like, we have this formula and it works and people are enjoying it, so we're just gonna keep going with it until, you know, until they're tired of it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna lie, like I'm pretty sure I watched just about all of them. You know, and Frank was cool. Frank and I got into it one time too, because I did an interview and I called him an asshole and he got pissed off. But I think we're cool now. You know, we talked it out a little bit, but
right.
But yeah, I mean that's you know, but those the people who got the shows, you know, were the, you know, they were the ones who were out there. You know, they were the eccentric ones that, you know, that were good for TV moments, and you know, they were unpredictable. You never knew what you were going to get with them, or what was going to come out of their mouths, because they were the ones that they really didn't necessarily self-censor, and so, but they, you know, they know that's good television, and so, you know, I mean, but you're right, it is repetitive, but like I said, if it was working for them, they were making their money.
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at the costs, their overhead to make these shows compared to what they break in, oh, it was easy money for them. I mean, and they could put these shows together, boom, boom, boom. Like I said, as long as the one was filming or one was on TV, they're filming the next one, you know. And
exactly.
And we were before the Jersey Shore cast, so we weren't getting paid like that, you know. We were cheap, easy labor for them, you know, and they're making millions of dollars off of us. And by the time, you know, MTV got around to the Jersey Shore crew after their first season, they realized that now this whole reality TV genre things, you know, they're like, okay, like, they're making money hand over fist, and the cast aren't making anything. So if they want us to keep making this show, you're gonna have to pay us. And you know, they were pioneers, you know, in that regard. Because for us, it's like, you know, it's peanuts. And they were, like I said, they could find anybody willing to go on these shows. All you gotta do is put out a casting notice.
Right.
You know, it was that once it took off, you know, they weren't hurting for people who wanted to be on these shows, and it didn't matter how much they were getting paid, you know, because everyone was, you know, thinking that, hey, I can go on here and get my spinoff show and, you know, and be famous. So.
Right.
But,
did you ever watch Charm School?
Yeah, I watched Charm School. There's a few. It's interesting how, you know, you have you get to know some of these people from the shows,
right.
and it's interesting how the most genuine people tend to kind of stay in touch. And so, for instance, like Dara, like that,
yes,
from Charm School, she and I, like, to this day, we talk probably, I mean, I wouldn't say talk, but we message back and forth. She's always sending messages on WhatsApp and stuff like that. But she had a niece that went to school out here in DC, and so she came. Anytime someone comes to DC, if I know that they're coming, I'm like, hey, we gotta meet up, you know. Even if we, you know, may not necessarily have been on a show together, but if we had connected somehow through social media, you know, and you know, and connected that way, and if I knew that they were coming out here, I would always be like, you know, hey, I'm your host for your DC experience. You know, we are a part of a family. We're part of that VH1 of Love family. So, you know, I'm willing to come out and, you know, and hang out and, you know, show you around and stuff like that. And she was one of those, and she's real cool. She got sick not too long ago too, but she's doing better now. But, you know, just people like her, just real genuine people that, you know, that had this experience, you know, but at the end of the day, once it was over, you know, you got to go back to your real life. You know, this is not going to last forever. So, you know, it's just interesting to see what, you know, what people were really, what their lives are really like, you know.
Right.
Outside of this show.
Right. I remember back then, a lot of the VH1 reality stars, they used to talk about the parties that VH1 used to throw for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever go to any of the VH1 Christmas parties?
No, I don't think I was. Well, and plus I didn't live in LA, right? So
right.
I was a little farther, so it wasn't. You know, I didn't get invited to a lot of that stuff because I would have to travel, and well, put it this way, I wasn't even invited to most of them. Okay. So I didn't know if they had invited me. I mean, I probably, you know, some of them I probably would have gone to, but yeah, I think it was for a select few.
Okay then. So, have you ever seen the challenge on MTV? One fan wants to know, would you ever do the challenge if they asked you to do it?
Oh man, I'm too old now. Like if I was, well, it depends. It depends. Maybe.
The challenge, the challenge.
I mean, I'd be pulling all kinds of hamstrings and.
I was gonna say, I mean, the challenge, they don't discriminate against age. There are people on the challenge that have been there since the 90s, and they're still
that's
on
true.
there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Some of them are still. Yeah, some of them are still. But here's a little fun fact, though. I am the oldest. I think I'm the oldest out of both Out of New York shows.
Oh, okay.
So back then on our show, I think I was the oldest. I think I was, at the time, I was 33? Okay. 32? Maybe. 32? 30, yeah. I think the next one to me was, it could have been Tango. Or it might have been, let's see. It might have been T-Weed.
What about Pootie? Pootie looked pretty older too.
Yeah, Pootie. Yes, that's true. You're right. It could have been Pootie. The only thing is, Pootie. I have no idea what happened to that dude. I have no idea where he is. I've tried to look for him. Nobody knows where that dude is. He just literally disappeared. I don't know if he's alive or dead or what. Like, no idea.
Yeah, I have been Googling him just to see. And the most recent thing I found from him was from 2014. So otherwise, you know. But I mean, if I find him, I'll definitely put him on because you know.
Yeah. Because I'd be interested in it. Because a dude like him. I'm not, like I said, I don't know. I'm not saying that he's not living and breathing, but I can't imagine him not being on social media.
Right. So, what was his vibe though with y'all? Because it seems like in the first 2 episodes he seemed more sane. And then come the 3rd episode, we get to see this side of him that was just so, you know, stressed and depressed, and you know.
He was triggered. I think he was just triggered. I think the thing is, and so the scene after that whole thing happened, right? We got back to the house, and he ended up going to dinner with Sister Patterson, and he was, you know, all, you know, shaking and you know, about ready to lose it. When we got back to the house, I was actually the first person that the producers came to and said, "Hey, you need to go talk to him and see what's going on." Because I was literally, I mean, besides Tango, like the only like really level-headed person there. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, you know, hey, we need you to go and talk to him. And so I went and, you know, I talked to him. And then they sent Tango up there. And this is when I was kind of like, okay, they're just trying to find, like, which one are they going to use for the footage, you know? But they end up sending Tango up there, too. And so, and Tango, you know, talked to him and everything. But, I mean, our observation of the situation was this dude he needs to leave. Like, he needs to go get some help because, number one, you can't come back from this. Like, we can't just wake up the next day and pretend like this never happened. Like, it's going to be a problem because either people are going to keep bringing it up or he's going to just shut down, and either he's going to end up going off on somebody and either hurting somebody or hurting himself. So how are we going to deal with this? and eventually it came down to like, okay, he's gonna have to leave. And he left. Like he literally, like everything that you saw was real. Like they brought the ambulance and they took him away, and we have not heard from that dude since. So he was literally on the verge of a breakdown. But when he came in, though, he was hyped. Like he was on another level because and this is a conversation that I had with him. He was like, this to him was his last shot, like his only hope to get out of his situation, his life, whatever it was, whether it's because he was, I don't know what his living situation. I don't know. I don't know if he had a home. I don't know if he was homeless. I don't know if he was just broke, or didn't have a job, couldn't keep a job, which could be because of his mental state. You know what I mean? Like he may not have been able to actually hold on to something if he was, whatever it was. Maybe he was bipolar. I don't know, but he was banking on this opportunity on this show to be like the thing that saved his life. Like this was like his last shot. Like either it's gonna happen now or nothing's gonna happen for him. And so he was, I guess depending on this opportunity to be the thing that. But in hindsight, looking back, I was like, no, man, like when you're, you got to get help first. Like this isn't gonna do it for you. Like you got to get help, and then you got to start, seeking out the things that are gonna, be beneficial for you in life. But this experience is not gonna make your mind. It's not gonna heal your mind.
Right. If anything, it'll send him down rather than up. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So.
And then that's how you get to people. That's how you have celebrities who eventually end up killing themselves because they haven't dealt with the depression. They're just riding the high of the fame. And then when you don't have the fame anymore, then you feel like you're useless and you're worthless and you're hopeless.
Right.
Because, and the fame never lasts. Like it doesn't last. So at some point, and that's the thing with a lot of our, VH1 reality family. There's a lot of people going through it. People, they ride that wave, the little fame wave for a while. Like it literally is, your 10 seconds of fame, or 15 minutes of fame rather. And then after that, you're back to whatever you were doing before, if you were doing anything. And,
right.
Yeah,
So at the reunion, I remember Lala had said something like 3 of the guys weren't there because one is on crutches, one is in jail, and she said something about a third one, but I can't remember the third thing she said. Do you know who she was talking about? She said she was going to let the audience put 2 and 2 together, so I never could put 2 and 2 together. So who do you know? Yeah, do you know who was in jail? Do you know who was on crutches? And do you know? And I think she said one was going through psychiatric help, and I already know that was Pootie. But Rico wasn't at the reunion, and
Rico wasn't there, right?
Yeah, Rico wasn't there, and there was another.
Yeah, man, I don't want to tell my boy's business, but it was Rico that got locked up.
Okay, and I can't remember the third person.
I can't remember what it was for, though. I really can't remember what it was for.
Yeah, I was actually trying to find him the other day.
Yeah, I know where he is. If you want me to put you in touch with him, I'll see if he's there. But Rico's doing his thing, man. Rico's like a big time hairstylist and barber. He got married. I think he has a kid. Like he's doing all right. He went on some tangents. I'm not gonna tell my boy's business, but
no,
if you are been keeping up as much as it seems like you've been keeping up.
Oh, I've watched. Don't get me wrong,
You already know what he was doing there for a while.
Yeah, so. I've watched his work, so I've seen it. Yeah. Then that's one of the reasons why I felt like he wouldn't want to do an interview because I figured he wouldn't want me to,
talk about that. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, but yeah, if you could definitely forward his contact info, I would definitely let him know. Like, hey, this is just a little refresher for the fans because they've been blowing. Because see, I mostly interview bad girls from Bad Girls Club.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
And my fans was like, hey, you need to interview some VH1 people. We want to know what's going on with this person, that person. I was like, I got you. If they're up for it, I'll definitely do it. So, but one fan wants to know what you've been doing since the VH1 life.
Oh wow! So, what have I been doing? So I ended up not too long after. I guess it was I Love New York, I Love Money, but anyway, I just kind of kept doing sort of what I had been doing. So I was modeling before that, so I continued to do a little bit of that, and and some commercial stuff here and there, like mostly local commercials, and then I stumbled onto a couple of independent film projects.
Okay.
And like I told you, like theater, like I'd already like that was already in my sort of in my repertoire, right?
Right.
Studying theater, and so but I didn't necessarily want to do theater anymore. So like doing film was like I think I'd rather do film than go and try to do theater. Even though I did do a couple of like local productions, but whatever, neither here nor there. But so I did a couple of independent film projects, and and then that started coming more and more those little indie projects, and then so I had met this guy. This guy's name's Anthony Anderson, and he was a writer on one of the films that I was doing, and he ended up leaving the project, but we stayed in touch, here and there. We'll always say, hey, I'd really like to work with you. Let's just stay in touch, and if anything ever comes down the pike, then we can talk about it then. Maybe a few years later, maybe 2 or 3 years later, I kind of lost contact with him. I don't know if it was just change of numbers or something, but we kind of lost contact. And I was on Facebook, and this is probably I assume it was Facebook. I don't know if Facebook been around. This was maybe like 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
And so I saw that there was a project being done, and they were holding auditions, and they were like, hey, these are the last auditions. We got a few additional characters we need to cast. And I realized it was him that was producing this, directing and writing this project. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I've been looking for you. Like, I lost contact with you. I said, I heard you're holding some auditions. And he said, like, hey, man, I've been looking for you too. Like, I actually have a role for you in this project. He's like, and I've been wondering where you were, and so let's get together and talk about it. So we got together. It was a rainy day. I think it was on my birthday too, which is tomorrow. So it was like almost 10, 11 years ago today, or tomorrow. And this project was a web series that he was putting together called Anacostia. And Anacostia is an area. It's southeast Washington D.C. Areas, which is where he grew up, and so he had created this show, and he was finally ready to put it together, and long story short, we've been doing this show now for 10 years. We are the longest running black web series ever. I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. And a little over 10 years, actually. We've had several Daytime Emmy nominations. I was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the Daytime Emmys last year for a digital series. And, I mean, I've been doing pretty well, actually.
Well, that's great.
If I may say so myself. So I didn't win. I didn't win the Emmy last year. So have you been watching these? So there's a progressive insurance commercial with the brother that's the motor, the half motorcycle, half man. Have you seen those commercials?
I've seen some of the progressive commercials. I don't remember that one though.
Okay, they show it a lot of like CNN, but it's like this progressive commercial, and it's about motorcycle insurance, and it's like he's a half man, half motorcycle.
Okay.
That's the brother that beat me out for the Emmy. I'm tired of seeing this damn commercial, but no, it was a cool experience. So like I said, we were nominated as our show was nominated about 5 years ago, and so we took the cast to the Emmys. We've won as a show. We've won 2 Emmys. And over the past 5 years, like I said, I was nominated last year for Best Supporting Actor, and so and I got to present last year too, and so that was a great experience. And other than that, like I said, that show is sort of what keeps it, even though we're not filming right now, we're on a hiatus. But that's just been a very rewarding experience being part of that project. But other than that, like I said, I've just been, I really haven't been doing a whole lot on the acting front over the past few years. Like I have a daughter now; she's 7, and so I spend, try to, it was really important to me that to be as just to be there, while she was when she was being little. So I didn't take on a lot of stuff to do because then I have a full-time job, and then doing the acting thing on the side. But I also had a show that I was, I had a TV show that I was hosting, a show called DC Hotspots, where I would, go out and interview celebrities and politicians and, philanthropists around the DC area at big, high-profile DC events. And so I did that for a few years. And then I just added another show that I was doing recently, a talk show for a local DC network. So I've been busy. It's called I Thought You Knew. I Wish You Knew was what it was called. And so I've been keeping pretty busy, but at the same time, I still wanted to be attentive and be a father, especially while she was young. And
right.
So I didn't want to take on too much and just not be around. And so so right now I'm just I work full-time job. I work for a government contractor here in DC, and I'm a supervisor. I have a team that I manage, and then I do my other projects on the side. So if I see something that's worth it, I think it's going to be a good experience, or that's lucrative, I may audition or take some projects that sometimes there's some folks out there developing stuff that they are interested in utilizing me for. But I'm just living a regular life, even though it's not necessarily regular to most people. I get to go to the Emmys here and there, but other than that, it's a regular life.
Yes, I ain't gonna lie to you. When that picture had surfaced of you holding the award, I was like, "Wait a minute, is that Onyx?" What? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
go ahead.
I was like, "What a come up? Are you serious?"
Yeah. I kind of do my, I could be a little bit more, braggadocious, I guess, but, for what? You just do what you do, and, I'm not
and that was
to...
right, and that was actually one of the questions. And she actually wanted me to mention her name, Kalani, as Onyx. Do you realize how good you look? Why aren't you the type to talk about your looks?
Because I'm old now and I don't need to.
Yeah, and she...
but it's like I was saying before, just about like the fame thing. It's like after doing in my mind, I did not want to go on to reality TV and be a caricature of myself, because I knew that there were things that I wanted to do and I wanted to be taken seriously. And if I had gotten on TV and just acted a straight fool,
right,
then when I tried to do legit projects, that no one would take me seriously, because they'd be like, well, like, why would we want you, or why would we think that you have any real talent or is going to represent this project if you were, because back then I mean, we can talk about it. I mean, it was quite a while ago. You know, it was still the beginning of this whole reality TV thing. So people thought what they saw on TV was real. You know, and in some cases it was. In some cases you were really seeing the true person, but in a lot of cases you were just seeing people pretending to be whatever it is that they were, and sometimes just didn't care or didn't think about how they be perceived after it was all over. You know, but like I said, I was consciously aware of that, and so I was like, you know, not only do I want to be able to take it seriously when I want to do legit projects after this, but I also want to be taken seriously when I have to go and interview for a job, because it's hard to hide sometimes. Like, you know, I tried to, you know, I would get every once in a while. Yeah, it was usually after the fact. Rarely did I ever go into a job interview and have someone be like, "Hey, so are you?" But once I would get hired. And after a while, you know, it would start to come out. People were like, wait a minute, like I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? You know, and so, you know, because I knew I wouldn't be doing stuff in the entertainment industry forever. So, you know, I still had bills to pay. I still had, you know, I still needed to work. So, you know, I just didn't want that to be a distraction.
Okay, then. So, being that you've dwelled in the media industry and the reality television industry, was there anything else that you ever thought about jumping into, you know, being that these two things kind of worked out for you, being that it's music or, you know, writing a book or, you know?
Yeah, I've always wanted to have a talk show. I mean, like I said, the stuff that I do technically is in that realm.
Right.
But I've always wanted to do, and I could. I procrastinate a lot, or not. I wouldn't even say procrastinate. Sometimes I just don't have enough confidence in myself to really take on a project and just follow through with it, because I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like people aren't interested, even though they may be. But that's my issue to deal with, right? But yeah, I've always wanted a talk show. But, you know, now that we're in this, you know, just like what you're doing now that we're in the realm of digital, you know, and online media, I mean, it's, you know, building a fan base is not necessarily the easiest these days, but that's something that I still want to do, or maybe or podcast or something like that. Everybody's doing podcasts now, but and I've also been teetering for years on a documentary, and I started the treatment for it, and then I let it go, and then I go back to it, and then I let it go, and I keep telling myself, you got to get this done before somebody steals your idea. Like, you're gonna be so mad if one day somebody wins a damn Oscar for a documentary, and you're like, that was my idea. Like, that could have been me up there. So I'm still working on that. But so that's really it. I mean, I don't want to do, you know, I'm not necessarily want to do anything that's on a grand scale. If it takes off, it takes off. But, you know, those are two things that I want to do that I haven't done yet.
Okay, then. And there was a rumor that VH1 was about to put together a 10-year era documentary with all the old VH1 reality stars, and basically y'all were going to, you know, give commentary on VH1 today and what reality TV is like today. If they was to contact you for that, would you do it?
Oh, definitely. You know, and it's interesting, like I tweeted out, and I don't think I got a response, but I tweeted out after I got when I got my Emmy nomination. You know, and I thanked them. I was like, I want to thank, you know, 51 Minds at VH1, because, you know, I mean, honestly, if it hadn't been for that experience, I wouldn't have been where I was at. I mean, maybe, but, you know, I mean, the reality TV really had nothing to do with me necessarily as an actor per se, but the experience is what is sort of charted my path to go back into that area, right? You know, I wouldn't have been doing those independent films if the people that I was working with on those projects didn't really because of my VH1 experience, right? So, I wouldn't have met Anthony, the creator of our project, and, I wouldn't have had this great experience of being part of this show that's been so successful and monumental in some cases. So, I tweeted out just, to those guys, hey, thanks, for that experience, because it's just, this is what it's led to. I mean, I don't know anyone else from our reality TV family that has an Emmy nomination or been a part of an Emmy-winning project at all. So I think it's pretty, I think it's something that can be, to brag about a little bit. But yeah, I didn't get a response from anyone. So I still have a couple of the old 51 Minds production folks that are, Facebook friends and stuff. So they kind of know what I'm doing. I keep tabs on them too. But
okay.
But if they were to ask me to be a project, yeah, definitely. I definitely would. It'd be a fun experience.
Okay. And did you ever hear about the tragic murder that happened, which kind of ended that era?
Yeah, from the
Megan Wants a
I Love
Millionaire.
Money. What was it, like I Love Money 4 or something like that?
It
or
was
3?
Yeah, he was on Megan Wants a Millionaire, and then he went he went on I Love Money 3, and he won, and he ended up killing his wife after he left. So that is one of the reasons why I Love Money 3 didn't air. However, they did.
Right.
However, they did air season 4, which I thought it was ridiculous for them to air season 4. I mean, if you're not going to air 3, which leads into 4, why would you? You know what I'm saying? And then they wondered why the ratings were so bad for season 4, because he put it on the late night time slot, 12 in the morning.
Oh, see.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, what a bad production move.
And I don't know, it makes me wonder too. I don't know legally, like what the legal ramifications would have been if they went ahead and aired that season. But I tell you what, if they did, they would have had the best ratings of their lives.
Yeah, the third season was going to be one of the best seasons ever. The thing is, it really wasn't legal. It wasn't a legal reason, because they could have aired it if they wanted to.
Yeah, it was more of an ethical one.
Yeah, it was more so of the fact that they were trying to respect Jasmine Fiore's, people. Like, why air this season? This dude just murdered my child, but yet we're watching him win $250,000. You know what I'm saying?
And it's one thing if it was just like an episode of like a game show, but no, this was like 10, 11 weeks of seeing this dude every day.
Yes.
People tuning in to watch it.
Right. And based on what the other cast members said, they said he was basically winning every challenge. So this whole season would have been his victory, which is bad. That would have been bad to show at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I feel what they're saying, but I heard a lot of stuff got shelved. New York was actually supposed to do a third season of I Love New York, which got shelved.
Well, yeah, she was actually supposed to. So her contract, I think, she was supposed to do like 6 or 7 projects.
Yeah, and they
was
all
like
just
her original contract. Yeah.
Right, and they all just got put up. Yeah, it screwed a lot of things up. It screwed 12 Pack up. It screwed Heat. Just like you were talking about Heat, Jason. Jason said on his podcast that they was gonna give him a show. It's kind of like I Love New York, I Love Caliente. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it screwed a lot of people's opportunities up. But at the end of the day, out of respect for Jasmine Fiore, I'm not mad that they didn't air it.
Yeah.
So,
not either. But 12 Pack, that would have been a good show. I ain't gonna lie, that would have been a funny ass show.
It would have been.
That would have been a good show.
It would have been. I would have, but I was actually really
surprised that I was really surprised that Frank got his show before Dave did. Like that.
Yeah,
that was odd to me.
Yeah, it was that actually kind of blowed me too when I saw that he had a show coming out. And then the theme of the show is what blowed me. The theme was he was trying to find a girl that was okay with him living in his mom's basement. And it was literally called Frank the Entertainer's Basement of Love.
Right.
So, I mean, creative, because that was his storyline, very creative. But at the end of the day, I just feel like I would have much rather wanted to watch somebody with a 12-pack or somebody that's of Hispanic descent that has a lot of little sayings. He used to always be like caliente and butter lips and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? He was funny. I would have much rather seen them than,
Dude, that dude's got, to this day, like, he's just one of those people that just has so much energy. Like you would think, like, dude, like, are you like coked up all the time? Like you would think, like that's how much energy that dude has.
It's crazy. But...
It is crazy. Like I was the other day, we were on IG Live, and I was watching him. I was like, man, it's been like 12 years, and you literally have not stopped moving. Like nobody has you just take out, put a fresh fresh set of batteries in every day. Like you just do not stop.
Right.
It's hilarious.
So, being that you did these 2 shows and all the opportunities that came afterwards, there are no regrets.
No, none. I mean, no. I mean, you always go back and you say, okay, I wish I'd have done this a little differently, or I did that a little differently.
Right.
Like as far as on the show, because you always think like, well, if I was as aggressive as, like Frank, or Heat, or some of these folks, would I have, where could I have taken that to? Like, where could I have parlayed that into?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm just me. Like, right? I'm not gonna. I can't change who I am. So, you can always say coulda, shoulda, woulda, but no, I have no regrets. I have no regrets at all.
Right. And would you do any type of reality TV today?
Yes. Well, depends on what it was. I wouldn't do any dating shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
But any other type of show, or if they wanted me to be the new Craig and host a show, that's what I would want to do.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that'll work.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Definitely. Or like if they did something like kind of like a Real Housewives dynamic, but it's like guys instead of girls, and it's about your personal lives. Like it's about y'all's dynamic as a group. It's like 6 or 7, but it also focuses more so on your home life as well. Would you do something like that where you have cameras in your house?
I don't know.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, Onyx. They pay those Real Housewives over $700,000 a year to do it.
Yeah, they do.
So it's good money,
And I know a few, like a lot of the Real, some of the older Housewives of DC and the new, and now it's the Potomac. I know a few of those ladies. Maybe. I would rather do a spoof like Real House, like the husbands of Real Husbands.
Oh, okay. So something like not that serious.
I'd rather do something like that. Like I really want to do a comedy. Like I haven't done a comedy. I've done some projects that had some, comedic, elements to it. But I'd really like to do a comedy.
Right. Well, okay then. Onyx, I really appreciate you for doing this interview with me. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to happen because I was like, oh crap, he's going to look at my page and see nothing but Bad Girls Club stuff. He's probably not going to be interested. You know what I'm saying?
I know a few of them bad girls.
Yeah, I'm trying to...
older bad girls. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying
like
to...
late 30s and 40s now.
Right. I'm trying to stray. I was trying to, kind of step into another type of show because I don't want to be known as Justin JC, the bad girl interviewer. I want to be known as the reality star interviewer, not just for one type of show. Like, I contacted you. I contacted Callie, Chance. I don't know if you know who Callie is. She was on your season.
Yeah,
I Love Money.
I know Callie.
Callie, Mercedes.
Every once in a while. She don't, she, like, back in the day, she used to respond. She's on a different level right now.
Yeah, she has a lot of followers, so her messages go into requests and stuff. So
and that's interesting too, how that works, right? Like how a lot of the women from the reality shows kind of kept their base like up, and most of the a lot of the fellas, we just kind of, everybody's like, whatever, we ain't interested in y'all anymore. Because what, like if you can, no offense, like I'm not shaming anybody, but if I could just, show my ass and keep some followers, I would do that.
I mean, this is the thing though. I feel like being that y'all were more so in the MySpace, Facebook age,
right?
A lot of y'all didn't transfer to Instagram till later on.
Exactly.
So it's like maybe back in 2011, they were trying to find y'all, but being that y'all weren't on Instagram yet.
That is true though, because and also what what kind of hurt too was like that big fan base that you built on MySpace, like when it left. But then and then you go over to like when Facebook hit, like you were limited. Like you could have like the fan pages, but most people just had like their Facebook page. And then when it's like, oh, you can only have 5,000
right,
friends.
only 5,000
like,
friends.
Like now you're stuck. So you had all these. Like I still to this day have thousands of friend requests just sitting there waiting because there's nothing I can do with them, right? Because you can't. But yeah, you're right. Like if we had social media today the way it was then, I mean, if we had social media then the way it is today, yeah, it would have been a completely different thing. But for the women, like you can, like if you're attractive and you've got a lot of that going for it, like you could move into that. People want to see, like you post pictures. People want to see you on IG. Like, like you can just post pictures and still get a pretty good fan base. And it's interesting, like for me, like even though I'm on camera a lot and I do film and, television stuff, I don't like doing like videos.
Right.
So, like I could have a lot of content on IG, just kind of, posting videos, especially now with IGTV and stuff. I just don't like looking at myself. Okay, like it's weird. Like I don't like putting videos of myself up. And I have so much to say. Like I do a lot of writing. I write a lot. So I like even now, like with all this is going on after George Floyd, like I've been writing. But you can't put that on IG. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's reading. Like everyone's like you don't really get the clicks unless you're posting videos these days.
Right.
So I've been thinking about just kind of going and taking the stuff that I write about and then actually start doing some videos and just putting it out there. Not necessarily to increase my fan base, but just to put that content out there because I know that people just aren't reading as much as they used to. So it's like if I can put it out in video form, I would get my message out a lot easier.
Right. And how did because see, I was around for MySpace, but I was like maybe.
Yeah, I know you're. Are you sure?
Yeah, I was around. Yeah, I was around. I'm 21. I was around for MySpace, but I was like 8, and it wasn't really as popping. Facebook was actually starting to become really popular around the time when around 8 or 9, I guess. I created one. I just didn't know how to use it. How does the connections thing work? So is it like how does that work? It says people that connected to and people connected to them. So it's like you can connect to a person, but you had to trust whether or not you can connect back to them. Is it kind of like follow and follow back?
Like on Facebook?
On MySpace.
Oh, on MySpace? No, it wasn't. Like you could, like Facebook really started. MySpace started as a music platform for I think in the beginning.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of like fan pages and stuff, like bands and musicians and stuff, and so that's how a lot of people would get their music content out because it was before like SoundCloud and like all those other music platforms, and so Facebook was really instrumental with that. MySpace with models and photographers and musicians and stuff like that. But I mean, it was, and then you could have. But you could connect with and connect as friends, but it wasn't really a follow back. It was more like Facebook where someone would request and then you would just accept the request and then you were connected.
Okay then. So how would fans more so connect with y'all on there? Like would they just like leave comments or they would watch the show and leave little things like?
Yeah, they would leave comments or. It was leave comments or messages. They could comment on your pictures or I think there was like a chat. I think there was a chat function on there too. Like now, Facebook has Messenger. Right. I think there was a chat function on there too, so people could see if you were on, like if your light was green, and then they could chat with you and stuff like that.
Okay then. Well,
But you could have so many. Like I said, there was no limit to how many people that you can interact with.
Right. Well, once again, Onyx, thank you so much for doing this interview. Like I said, really thought it wasn't going to happen. Not only that, but a lot of the times, I notice some reality stars, when they look at my page, they feel like I'm like 11 because I look so young. So it's like they'll automatically be like, okay, no. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but I don't really sound like I'm 21. So it's like it's a lot, So I just I'm glad some of y'all actually give me a chance,
I look, and that's exactly what it is. And I look at it like, okay, if you reached out, that means you legitimately wanted the opportunity to have the conversation. So why would I not give someone the opportunity? Like I'm not losing out on anything. So and it's not like you're gonna blow up because you interview me, right?
Right.
At the same time, it's all about the experience. And for me, I know if I was in your place and I was reaching out to people and asking for interviews, like, if, like I said, what does it hurt to offer the interview if it gives someone opportunity to, whether you're somebody who's already on the map and people know the product that you're putting out and it's content that they want to see or hear, or if it's just you building your content and wanting to get to that level where people are want your content and are asking for your content. So anyway, it's no sweat on my back. I'm either helping you or just sustaining you, whatever it is. But I would want someone to give me the opportunity, so I don't see why I wouldn't give someone else the opportunity. So.
Right. I really appreciate it. I know sometimes I kind of have to work on my like professionalism, because sometimes I tend to, instead of it being like an actual professional interview, it turns out being like seeming like a regular phone conversation. So I try to keep it professional as much as I can.
That's okay too. Like I don't know how you edit, but I mean, I'd rather have a conversation than just answer some random questions.
Right.
That's to me, it's just
it's boring.
Yeah. And but not only it's boring, but it's impersonal. Like I would just, because I've done it. Like I've been on this, I've held the microphone and had to ask the questions, and and some people kind of come ready to, and for me it's a little different because this was however many years ago, and I haven't really talked about it that in length in a while. So for me, having this experience is kind of like just going down memory lane. And like I said, some things have gotten foggy, and then some things are still fresh and vivid. But yeah, it's fun for me to kind of talk about it and reminisce. So I apologize if I've gotten long winded, or if I didn't necessarily follow your flow and kind of go off on tangents. But
you're good.
Telling the story. I like to tell a story, especially the stuff that people don't really know about.
No, see, this is the thing though. I like the fact that with each question I ask you, you give a long answer. You're very detailed. I noticed with some of my older interviews, people would just kind of just say one little sentence and it's like over with, and I'm like, crap. Like, no, come on, keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you were ready to talk. I really appreciate it. But Onyx, I know you're a very busy man. I was gonna let you go ahead and get on with your day.
All right. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yes, and if there's anything that you wanted me to promote, make sure to DM it to me. I would definitely promote anything you have going on. That's what I did with all of my interviews. So,
okay.
Just let me know. Whatever you need promoted, I got you. I really appreciate this time.
No problem.
All right.
I'll be looking out for you, watching your success from afar.
Appreciate it.
I saw one thing you were talking about. What was it you were talking about? I think it was something about was it your mom or something like that? I was like, oh man. I was like, man, I was thinking about it. I was like, if you ever need to talk, man, all you gotta do is give me a call.
I got you. I think it was either my mom or it was like a YouTube video or something on Instagram.
It was on Instagram.
Okay, yeah, probably was my mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to be a little emotional. I try not to be, you know.
It's okay, you know. Sometimes it's hard to share a little of yourself because you never know what somebody else is going through,
Exactly.
and you know what inspiration or you know or who you might find that you know that has a shared experience that you could learn something from. So
Right. But yeah, thank you so much, Onyx. Appreciate you.
no problem, no problem.
All right.
Anytime, man.
Yeah.
Holler at
See
me.
you later, Doc.
All right, you have a good one.
You too.